So it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. It's still windy, so if this is hopefully it's not too windy. It's not messing it up too much, but show you some of the aftermath of the windstorm. In the neighborhood, we drove around a little bit, and all of the trees that were broke down, there was quite a few. Some pretty nice sized spruce trees, but right here, that's on my neighbor's property. There's one right there that broke off, still hanging. See another one right there. They're pretty close to each other. We heard those breaking last night. There's another one hanging out right there out of the road. I would say we heard a dozen trees breaking off last night. I walked around my property and my buildings and stuff. Right there. I walked around my property, around my buildings. Nothing was down that I can see on my property. But I've gotten rid of a lot of my dead standing trees. Anything that I thought was dangerous anyway. Yeah, there's another one. It's broke off. Got another one leaning really bad. Right there. Those two were standing straight up before. So he's got quite a few more spruce trees on his property. And it's kind of like that in the whole neighborhood. There's a lot of trees that are hanging down. But I still got my cottonwoods there. Those are some big ones, but they still have a lot of life left there. They're not anywhere near the end of their life. So, eagle. That's cool. Eagle's looking for dinner. That's pretty cool, huh? I'll end up losing him here pretty soon. Yep, there he goes. He's gone. But I'm gonna walk to the end of my property and see if there's anything down. If I see anything down, I'll let you know, and if I don't, I'll catch up with you in a few seconds. So here's my property marker, and I was looking back in here. I do have trees that are down, but not from this storm that I can tell. This is kind of where me and Keone will dart in right here on our trail. For our walks. Down a little bit farther, I guess. On the property. But, it's kind of a corner piece down here. This is kind of like, yeah, I don't see anything new that has fallen. That spruce tree's been dead for a long time. But this is kind of our trail right on the edge of the property here. Just kind of walking around, seeing if I have anything new that came down or needs to come down. Because we walk back here in the wintertime all the time, and I don't want anything falling on us. See, right there is the markers for our property. Right straight up that way. And it goes up to the top of the hill or the bluff. So, yep. Yeah, I'm not. Got lots of trees back here, but they're all so small. They won't make any good lumber. I just want to let them grow and leave it wild as much as possible, because it's kind of nice to be able to walk around and see it. I don't see anything that fell down on this corner of the property. So I think we fared just fine in the storm. Other people not so well. There was at least a dozen trees down, you know, not really across the road. You could get around them and everything, but at least a dozen trees that we saw just hanging out really close to the road. It was a pretty bad windstorm, that's for sure. I know it knocked out a ton of power to everybody in the area. So I was looking at the amount of power. The updates it updates every 5 minutes as they're getting the power turned back on, and there for a while it kept growing. More people were out of power. You know, it was so bad. So, but that's why we prepare and be ready. I never did get my generator out or anything. I do have one, but I never felt it was necessary because I knew it was just a localized storm blowing through, and I have flashlights and stuff that can deal with it. And for me to break out the generator and cut power to the poles and stuff, I didn't feel that necessary. If I was still without power tonight, I'd probably run it enough to get my freezers cooled back down and go from there. I have a lot I need to get done. All of my tarps are blown around off of my wood. I need to get some wood restacked today and get some new covers put on it. Get my metal covers put back up and put on them, and get some heavier stuff on top to hold that metal down. So I did lose a couple pieces of metal off of my stacks that I need to fix. Yeah, see, I have some nice sized birch here and there, but I don't want to cut them down. It's not worth it. And most of them are, you know, they're crooked and they're so small. I wouldn't get anything out of them anyway. And then I did have a viewer that asked me how many logs I have to mill. I'll do that. I'll show some of my piles of logs that I still have to mill. So all I had really happened my property is my tarps got blown around. I need to set them down better. I usually don't have to worry about it because by this time we're about to get the snow on top, and once I get snow on top, it just weights the tarps down, holds them down anyway. I'll take you back to my wood piles. Came off of something else and just blew to that spot. I had that piece of metal fly from that stack of wood back there. This piece of metal I just had sitting on top up here just to have it out of the way. But all of the metal that I had on that stack, all of the scrap metal that I had sitting on this stack is blown around. Well, it looks like I probably lost. Let's get up here and see. Doesn't look like anything really bent or got hurt. It just blew around. So I'll get them all put back up and get this covered up before it rains on me later today or tomorrow. It's calling for rain, so Need to get my lumber covered up again. Get my cottonwood pieces brought back here and get the birch pieces put back in that stack. Before I do that, I'll show you the logs that I have to mill up. So this is like the stack that's up by the sawmill right now to get milled up. This will be the first stuff I mill up unless somebody calls me and asks me for something specific. Turn back down here. And I'll just mill that stuff up for myself for my chicken coop, because I got to replace a bunch of stuff that I've given away that I had milled up for my chicken coop. So right here, and a lot of this stuff's been here, but once you cut the ends off and mill into it, it's just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Nice solid wood still. At least it was this spring. I milled into it, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same. I cut back into it about 3 inches, and it'll be solid wood again. Nothing wrong with it. If it sits there for too long, it will be rotten. No good for anything but firewood, but so far it's worked out okay. And then this pile is my cottonwood mostly, and some of my bigger birch that I want to make slabs out of. But that's a good pile of logs right there. Those ones on the end are the biggest. That's some of it, and then I take you over this direction. That's firewood to give away to somebody who needs it. I'm just going to donate that to somebody who needs it. I have so much firewood, I don't know what to do with it all anyway. And then, so that little log's right there. I need to get it milled up, cut up into lengths and milled up. I might make a beam for my sawmill, because I know those are pretty long. I might be able to make a beam for my sawmill so that I can put a covered roof over the whole sawmill. Might be one of the things I use those logs for. Kara's out walking the puppy dogs. And then this stack of logs, I gotta get milled up sooner rather than later on this stuff. All of that. So yeah, I have quite a bit of milling I could be doing. If I had the mill set up the right way, I could just mill constant all winter long. But I'm not there yet, so I'm not even going to worry about it. It's not going to happen this year. But yep, those are the stacks of logs I have to mill up. It's just I have logs everywhere, and people still calling me asking me to come get logs. After this windstorm, I bet that I'll have even more people calling me asking me to get logs. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too worried about it. It all works out. God's really good to me. He gives me what I need. I have more logs than I need right now for my sawmill. I can't keep up with it anyway. So. It is still pretty windy. Hopefully the worst part of it is past us now, and we can get on with our lives and get things picked up and right back into order. No big damage done. We all survived. My property survived. So I'm blessed. I'm very happy, thankful, because it could have been a lot worse. If I would have had those cottonwoods that I took down last year, take you over to the stump right there. That stump right there, if that cottonwood was still, it's hard to run the camera this way. If that cottonwood was still around, or the one right there was still around, I probably would have had a tree on top of my truck. So I'm really thankful that I had those taken down this spring. They were dangerous trees. I mean, they were rotten. I've shared this stump before, but for any of my new subscribers or any of the people watching, so I mean, it's a big tree, but I think last night in the windstorm that we had, as bad as it was blowing, I'm pretty sure that that tree would have come down. Because those metal pieces that blew around, I did have lumber on top of them holding them down. They just had, they were hanging over the edge a little bit too far, and the wind was able to get underneath and lift them enough that it blew the lumber that I had sitting on top right off and blew those chunks of metal around.
The big loop.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
I didn't notice any changes.
Did you did the big loop down to the end of the
To the library and then down, and I picked the Huxley up because I thought it'd be too cold up there. It wasn't that bad. And then we walked that trail down and down to the garden.
Yeah. I did it just the opposite. I went the other direction in from the road corner, and I walked back to the cabins. Yeah, I didn't see anything. And then, yeah, you can't. The upper cabin was the only place I didn't go, and I wasn't worried about that because there's no trees up there anyway.
Not anymore, but I just was wondering
So.
if, like, the fence had blown down or something, because it's some of the posts are starting.
Our
to
fence
rot.
blew down. The dog.
I wanted to see
Oh.
if the fence. That's kind of what I thought would be.
And it's still standing. So
There were
yeah,
branches on the deck, and that was about it.
yeah.
Bring it to me.
It's all good. Happy. Anyway, I'm gonna quit yakking. Get busy with my day. It's running short already. So thank you for watching Not So Remote Alaska. And may God bless and keep each and every one of you. And with that, I'm out.